This is the OTB Television Network, a service of Capital District Off-Track Betting.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Handicappers Report. Alongside Seth Merrill, I am Anthony Mormino on this Wednesday morning as we shift gears from Parks and Finger Lakes, where it has been like shooting fish in a barrel for my partner at Finger Lakes. Now it'll be a full week of racing before we get to the holiday weekend, Churchill Downs and the New York Racing Association at Aqueduct. I was just thinking, Seth, as at the holiday next week, but the main track at the Big A winding down. It seems like we just wound up, but we're winding down. I was thinking about Gulfstream Park really coming, really their meet kind of taking on a different feel the Saturday after Thanksgiving, and an exciting weekend next week. But you know, one thing I wanted to point out for, you know, if you're watching the Handicappers Report, you know, betting horses, Seth made a great observation about Monday's racetrack at Finger Lakes, Seth, and doing my pace type of stuff. I think it's fair to say yesterday was pretty much the same. You had to be within a length of the lead, it seemed, right out of the gate. And by the only horse was that Sinner Dave, who was back early in the second half of the double. He paid a big price, but everybody else was, you know, right on the pace all day long at Finger Lakes, so to see if we can dial into what Naira and Churchill Downs is playing like. And as I always say, you know, always be the most leery, you know, following a couple days off, that the racetrack has a chance to change, because I have felt as if Churchill Downs has had a real flow to it, off the pace, 3 wide on the turn, run strong in the straight, off the pace runners. We'll see what it's like this afternoon.
Yeah, I thought Finger Lakes was a little more fair yesterday. As you say, I think you had to be close, and it may just have been the jockeys were a little more clued in, because there was a a little more of a battle in some of the races early, so they weren't letting some of the horses you know, fly away with early fractions. Tony Kalo on Racing Across America yesterday, as we talked, said there was kind of a drizzle mist in the air. He thought if there was some moisture, that may bring the track back and make it a little fairer, although he said this time of year, the track did tend to play to speed because you have the cold mornings, which tightens things up.
Right.
And he said that was conducive to the speed, which we saw on Monday. As I say, I got back on the horse a little bit yesterday with some winners.
Yeah,
and
5.
I thought it was I thought it was a little fairer yesterday than it was on Monday, when I was absolutely confounded. And I will say, Tony and I, he picked 3 horses when he was on with me, and typically in the past when there was a meeting of the minds, we've done pretty well. Well, all 3 of his horses were horses I had on top. Went 2 for 3 yesterday with a little
Seth
positive
had 4 in a
ROI
row, and they don't have a pick 4 where Seth was, but the parlay was like $45. I know that for those 4.
Well, I had both pick 4s, and they were not anything to write home about.
Well, the second and third race were the
I
price
should
race.
say I had the first pick 3 and the late pick 4, and I thought that first pick 3 was going to be pretty good with a $20 horse.
The $26 horse. Yeah, but one thing, you know, Seth says it was a little fair, but if my numbers are right, and I trust them, no one except for Sinner Dave, who was the $15 horse in the second race, he didn't fit the racetrack. Nobody came from more than 1 length or was on the front at the pace call.
And as I say, it may just have been the jockeys were a little more clued in, and they were up there. Yeah.
Get loose. And yesterday, for, you know, once again, for me at Parks, just, you know, we held on. Yesterday, 2 days ago, we got him early. Yesterday, we had the $20 winner and the nearly $40 winner late. But up until that point, I had lost an excruciating photo, and I think, I'm not into Keith Jones's style yet, but many announcers, I feel, and I think we're very dialed into Tom Durkin. When there's a photo finish, they're not placing judges. That's not their job. But you sort of begin to read the tea leaves that when they call the horses involved in the photo finish, Tom Durkin's for years, I mean, people picked on this 20 years ago. When he reads them off, he's giving you his opinion that's the order. I mean, it's not his business to tell us whether that's true or false, but if you watch the next 50 times Tom Durkin reads off the names of horses in a photo finish, watch how many times the first horse he says is the top horse. Well, I had it called with my horse, and I did not feel as if now, like I said, I'm just getting dialed into Keith Jones, so I don't know, and I don't expect Seth to put him on the spot when he has him on. That that's an unfair position, but I got to get used to him because I didn't have the confidence I'd won the photo. Then I get to the 7th race. Now, I've lost an excruciating photo, which would have I get to the 7th race. I didn't take the entry. My part of the entry scratched. The entry, Seth, was 2-1 in the morning line. The entry, my part scratched. The other part ran and went from 2-1 to 7-1, and you guessed it, down the road for a $16 winner. And obviously I point that out when I was talking about every single horse the day before Monday. And the first 6 on Tuesday, I lose an excruciating photo. The other half of the entry runs, but we got them. In the last 2 of the day, the last 3 yesterday were finally horses that weren't bet by the public when the windows opened up, and we got zip code home at 22.60 now. Here you go. He was 9-2 on the morning line. It went the Mormino way. He went off at 10-1, and Stonebroke, who was 12-1, he finished off at 14-1, and we, basically got $60 out of the pool late. But just an interesting day. They have, my point being, they have been right on. Basically, they were 15 for 18 at Parks on Monday, Tuesday, and I mean strongly. I'm not talking about a 5-1 horse that went off at 4-1. They were basically cutting the odds in half of the eventual winners, but Mormino got them. We got them late yesterday afternoon. And Seth, I was looking it up because I was really dialed into Finger Lakes because of what you told us yesterday about the racetrack, and Seth got the middle 4 after getting the opener. And as I said, my notes, except for this Sinner Dave, who paid $15.60 in the second race, I have everybody at the pace call for a race. The farthest one back, now counting Sinner Dave, who was off the pace, was at the worst 1 length off. A couple horses had made the front already. A couple horses were half a length behind. But you had to be all the 8 of the 9 winners yesterday were within 1 length or on the lead at the pace call at Finger Lakes.
And at Finger Lakes, when I said that early pick 3 I had started with a $26 horse, I will note I did not have that $26 horse in the mix. That was the race, if you watched yesterday, I said they all kind of stink. So as it came to that pick 3, I looked at the field, and everybody was betting the 2 horses that I had on top, but it was one of those races where they were all terrible. Yeah. And so I went I hit the all button there, and used the horses in the next 2 legs that I had in my mix.
Now, I didn't look it up, Seth. What did the pick 3 pay with the
For 50 cents, I got back over 100, so it was a $400.
I'll go look that up because I'll be that's.
But things got logical in the next 2. If I had something that just gone a little bit off the rails, because I was alive to 4 in the last leg, and just looking here, alive to 4 different horses, and I got the worst of it. It was an 800.
Well, don't get greedy. You got the best of it on the front leg.
It was an 800, a 100, 600, or a $300. So okay. And I got the shortest one. They were all pretty good, other than that. And in fact, the $800 pick 3 was right there until about the 16th hole. But there you go, pulled some money out of it. Also, when you talk about photo finishes, I'll just bring this up because I won't say it's a pet peeve. It's a pet hope. And I wrote this on Equidaily a few years ago, and a lot of people chimed in and said it's a great idea. I wish all tracks would do what Tampa does and have that dedicated finish line camera. It does not pan. It's stuck right on the finish line. It's a video camera. Immediately after the race, they go to a super slow-mo that in 99% of the cases allows you to figure out who won that fight. And it's an innovation that, as far as I know, only Tampa does.
I have been talking about it since really the famous Breeders' Cup distaff in 1988 when, NBC themselves put a camera perpendicular to the line to give it to us because the racetracks, and I've said this for years, you start to get used to racetracks. Some racetracks have the camera inside the finish line, so you get that angle. Some are beyond it, you get that angle. But Seth is 100% right. Right on it, go right to it, and save the people the angst. Yeah,
I'd love to see other tracks pick that up. All right, again, a little later on, I'll be taking a look at Aqueduct, but we'll kick things off this morning, taking a look at this afternoon's card at Churchill Downs. Opener is a plain vanilla claimer, $20,000 tags. These are 3-year-old fillies going the 1-turn mile.
Well, we changed the venue, but let's keep the extremely positive momentum coming out of a nice Monday, Tuesday at Parks. And we actually finished up last week at Churchill okay after really getting our head handed to us on, I think, Wednesday and Friday of last week. 3-2-4 in the opener, ladies and gentlemen, and number 3 is No Free Riding. I just want to make one comment. As been watching Churchill Downs and the feed on CapitalOTVBet.com, that, you know what, Seth, I never knew it was as a straight line as it is, because I've been seeing some horses warm up and they got a camera at the top of the backstretch shooting right down. It's not even close to being a straight line coming out of this chute. You really have to direct yourself to get yourself righted once you get out of this chute. And I think we can't straighten it out. I guess not. But back to this race, 3-2-4, no free ride with Alberto Royal scheduled the ride, who's been aboard the most recent effort. This horse has hit the board in 4 consecutive efforts, including a 2-turn effort that I like when way off the pace, off a moderate pace being set, and we were well off. And now we're getting a 1-turn mile. I'm hoping to get a little bit harder pace at which to run at with my top pick, number 3, No Free Ride. For a second, number 2, Georgette Fortune was claimed for $15,000 in the September meet out of a 1-turn race, will be won by a pole. In 2 subsequent efforts, taking on winners, raced well against claimers. That was in the slop. I'm not so sure it was so much the slop, even though it's an offspring of Mr. Greeley, and you could certainly understand it. But I think in this level, restricted to 3-year-olds, will be tough with Leandro Gonsalves. And for second at 10-1, number 4, Distinct Affair. And if this horse should stay this price, boy, I have to better this rating, because this horse was running in entry-level allowances at Churchill Downs on September 7th and hit the board. Now comes in for 20, 10 days after running in a capital B 20 where it didn't go very well. But I expect to see an improvement off of that as Joe Rocco gets them out for the first time. So look out for the 4, especially if Distinct Affair stays in the double-digit range. And I'm just contrarian the idea that I don't want to see Distinct Affair be live on the tote board or something and be down to 5-1. I'll be very happy to stay where you are, getting back, stretching out to a mile, where I think this horse will be more comfortable. 3-2-4 in Churchill Downs opener.
We're down in the basement as far as claiming tags in Churchill's second race. It is a $5,000 claimer. 3-year-olds and up, 3/4 of a mile the trip.
286, getting the even numbers rolling here, and Song of Life gets my top pick. Horse has been sharp of late, 3 consecutive hit-the-board finishes, and the most recent one, I think, was the best of the 3, just getting beat a little bit more than a length at better than 20-1 for all the marbles. For second, going to the outside part of the starting gate, number 8, Storm Macon. Now, we finished off the board going 6.5 furlongs at this level on November 3rd with Norberto Arroyo aboard the 2-1 favorite. And, you know, to me, after a hole, we'll start to comment. The daily racing form reads fractious, unprepared. And then this horse put in a typical type of strong middle move and then just fatigue setting in to finish poorly. Only beat a couple of horses, beaten better than a handful of lengths as the favorite. But when you take everything in consideration, that's a nice effort, and hopefully we'll get better than 2-1 as we see 5-2 on the morning line based on that 6th place finish. For third, number 6, Joe Rocco Jr. has the mount for the second start since August 20th. 286 in the second.
Race number 3 at Churchill Downs this afternoon. It is a B-level claimer, claiming tags $25,000 to $30,000. Fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up. Again, the 1-turn mile.
673, ladies and gentlemen. Before you know it, gets my top pick, who is making the 5th career start on the dirt, has a 2nd and a 3rd in the 4 previous efforts. And going back a while, back into the springtime, May 18th to be exact, a 7-furlong effort that I thought was a very good effort. That was 2nd time blinkers. Now, it ended up being the last time they raced in blinkers, but it was a strong pace race that day, pushed all the way, ended up finishing off the board, finishing half a dozen lengths out for all the money. But that was going 7 furlongs, and that was a good effort. The fact that they took off the blinkers I don't really have much thought about that. They tried it twice. I wasn't dissatisfied with the results. Thought it was really race setups. Now, subsequent to that, we've seen turf racing and polytrack racing, but immediately following that effort, claiming 40, the 1-turn mile. Yes, it was off the turf, did finish second with Joe Rocco Jr. aboard. So number 6, before you know it, my top pick. For second, right next door in the starting gate, number 7, CP Hathaway. Greg Foley sends out this runner, only the second start since May, third start since March, fourth start of the year. A good comeback effort on October 19th. That was at Keeneland on the Poly. And for third, the 9-5 morning line favorite, number 3, Fib 673 in the third.
Have a fun little maiden claimer in the fourth race today. $35,000 to $40,000 tags. 2-year-olds going a quick 5.5.
7-4-6, ladies and gentlemen, my selections. And Cloud Catcher gets my top pick at a 10-1 debut. Hit the board, finishing third. That was at Churchill Downs in the autumn, the September meet, I should say. And then went over to Kentucky Downs, tried the turf, now gets back to the dirt for the third career start and runs for a tag for the first time. And Gary Sims shows a 50% win percentage with this move. Now, this is only the 9th horse that's dropped in for a tag. For second, number 4, Runkle, who is 8-5 on the morning line, and that 8-5, I'm going to suspect isn't based on the most recent effort, which was the Polytrack debut at Keeneland, based on some good efforts on the dirt and the turf sprinting. Previous to that, this maiden ran in the Bashford Manor, ran poorly, which is certainly understandable. The only poor effort on the dirt to date. For third, number 6, Innovative Fashion. John Hancock, not the sign of the Declaration, sends out this horse for the first time in for a tag. Third career start, first one since July 13th, and I certainly would keep my eye on this 15-1 morning line shot. 7-4-6.
In the fifth today at Churchill Downs, we are looking at a maiden claimer for $10,000 tags. These are 3-year-olds and up. They will go 7 furlongs.
8-3-4 gets my call in here, and Regal's Son is the 8 horse in here, my top pick. And this horse was running at Turfway Park through the winter time on the Polytrack. It has had only 2 starts since then, 1 in the spring at Churchill Downs, and then laid off from May 26th to early November. Now we get the second start off of the layoff. And I thought the second start, the Churchill Downs effort on November 8th, was certainly encouraging off of a springtime effort. You know, whether it was practice or welcome back to the races, a strong middle part of the race, which I think should set us up to go forward. Number 8, Regal Sun, who is 15-1 on the morning line, gets my top pick. For second, number 3, Vise Villain, another horse who, on the November 9th effort, I thought showed a marked improvement, showed a little bit of gas early in the race, which is something that had been absent in the previous 7 starts. Now, this horse has never hit the board in 8 career starts, has run for a tag in all of them. So, you know, you can't really reach for any of those angles. And is 20-1 on the morning line. Needs to repeat the career best effort on November 9th in here to get a piece in for third, number 4. Going out after a second place finish at better than 35-1, rooting at Indiana Downs, Indiana bred maiden special weights, now comes into open claimers. 8-3-4 in the 5th from Churchill Downs.
All right, that'll send us to our first break. When we come back, we'll continue our look at Churchill Downs a little later on. Aqueduct, stay tuned.
I'm Mark Cassano. Join me Saturday mornings at 10 for Down the Stretch. We'll inform, analyze, and welcome in the biggest names in racing. So join me Saturday mornings at 10 for Down the Stretch, right here on the OTB Television Network.
Hey race fans, head down to the all-new Clubhouse Racebook and get in the game. With live horse racing on more than 250 flat-screen TVs, state-of-the-art wagering terminals, fantastic food and drinks, an amazing Vegas-style atmosphere with seating for nearly 900 of your closest friends. Conveniently located at 711 Central Avenue, right off Exit 5 of I-90 in Albany, the Clubhouse Racebook is the better choice.
Wagering at CapitalOTBBet.com is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Capital Bet TV, the fastest and easiest online wagering experience where you can monitor 5 different tracks simultaneously. 2. Capital Bet Express. Its straightforward program layout and interactive handicapping information lets you build your wager quickly and efficiently. And 3. Capital Bet Pro, designed especially for the professional horse player. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
The Capital OTB Handicapping Challenge Series is back. That's right, the 2013 Capital OTB Handicapping Challenge Series is back, and it's your chance to win thousands in cash and prizes and a seat at the 2014 National Handicapping Championship in Las Vegas. This month, the Capital Cup on December 7th. So sign up today online at CapitalOTB.com or stop in at the Clubhouse Racebook. And don't forget our Showviver Series, Capital OTB's online handicapping contest. I'm Seth Merrill. Join me weekdays at 10 for Racing Across America. We'll look at important races from around the country, get insight from top handicappers and analysts, and preview the upcoming week in racing. That's Racing Across America, weekdays at 10, right here on the OTB TV network. Welcome back to the Handicappers Report for this Wednesday morning. Seth Merrill and Anthony Mormino. I'll look at Aqueduct a little later on, but we will continue our look at Churchill Downs for this afternoon with their race number 6. Optional claiming event, non-winners of 2 other than the condition, $62,500 the price, 5 furlongs on the turf, the distance.
And for me, these are the type of races that make horse racing a great, great game. The 11 is an MTO. Wide open race, the 10 competitors in here. And I've said this many times before, when you look at a head-scratching race this long, do not settle on the favorites. The favorites should jump out to you. 8, 9, 5. Strike the note. And my thought here, and I talked about it yesterday at Parks, I'm just convinced ahead of time that there's going to be multiple pace runners in here, and I want somebody that can sit just a little bit off of it. I mean, so Strike the Note with Corey Lannery is the horse for me, making only a second start on the turf at Churchill Downs. The other one was a Route last year on Black Friday, so throw that out. But just a running style that I think he's going to sit probably 4th or 5th in this race, and hopefully can make the one charge in a wide open, fantastic betting race. The 6th at Churchill Downs. So number 8, Strike the Note, my top pick. For second, next door in the starting gate, keeping the idea open of, bombs away. Hopefully number 9, Raise Away. They add blinkers this afternoon. Now this horse has shown enough speed previously, and Leandro Gonsalves going very well. He has been aboard this horse for the last 4 starts, which were the first starts off of a 13-month layoff, and this horse hasn't missed a beat since coming back and back from the layoff, down from Canada. For third, number 5, Gentleman's Code. Wesley Ward sends out this runner for the first start since December 13th, and the waters are quite deep here, folks. 8, 9, 5 in a great 6th from Churchill Downs.
7th at Churchill this afternoon is a maiden claimer, down to $25,000 tags. These are fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up. They will go 6 furlongs.
3, 6, 2 are my selections in here, and number 3 is Southern Sarah, who is making the second career start, and going back a little bit more than 20 years ago when I really became ingrained in becoming a pace handicapper type. These were the type of horses who had debuted with, through the inside post position in a large field, and then showed good early speed in sprints, which most debuts are. Showed very good speed, and then you would see the final running position look disastrous. And after a while, the couple things that I just started to notice. One is you often got a price the second time out after that debut. And secondly, the debut in certain parts, where they cranked up to run big in the debut. But the second was, and I've stuck with it, that the beaten lengths and final running position, especially when I'm raising my voice, not quite screaming, run worse, so I can bet you back next time. But Southern Sarah is just that type of horse. Now, you debut at nearly 70 to 1. You break from the rail, they're off, you find yourself last, you get rushed up. Not saying any of that can't happen again. And I know it's only a matter of a couple of feet, but boy, if nobody scratches out of here and Southern Sarah gets to break The number 3 post position, an offspring of Southern Image. You know, I like my chances, and I do think we'll get a little bit better than 15-1. For second, number 6, Broken Blues. 2 starts in the spring, not much there. Laid off, came back at Keeneland, ran better, then ran better at Churchill Downs on November 2nd to hit the board at 5-1 in a runner-up position. For third, number 5, 5-star Dixie, an offspring of 5-star Day, making the 3rd career start, first one in for a tag, and first start since March 6th at Gulfstream Park. 3-6-2.
Race 8 at Churchill this afternoon is a maiden special weight event. These are 3-year-olds and up. They will go a mile and a 16th.
2-1-5, Air Squadron to me, Steve Margolis. I just couldn't. I just think this horse is going to win this race rather comfortably with Sean Bridgman in the saddle. The one thing I would say besides the 7-5 price in here, if the racetrack is playing similarly before they had a couple dark days, I think it just is going to help Air Squadron. Air Squadron doesn't need any help. For second, number 1, It's a Bad Rabbit, going out for the second time for Brett Calhoun after a nice effort breaking from the rail, going 6.5 on the poly at Keeneland most recently. And for third, number 5, Empire Taker. First start since May 29th was in the slop at Churchill Downs. And that was the 14th career start. I don't know what to make of that effort. It certainly looked like a nice enough effort before the fatigue set in. Was that the layoff? Was that the slop? This horse certainly could be dangerous in here if the wagering goes hog wild for Air Squadron. And by the way, even though it's my top pick, I can see that happening. And if Empire Taker drifts up, I know it's the veteran in the group making the 15th start this afternoon, but before the layoff on the poly was nice, and before the final 1/8 of a mile, a nice return to the races in the slop on Halloween Eve. 2-1-5.
9th race at Churchill this afternoon. It is an allowance event. Non-winners are 2 other than is the condition. 2-year-old fillies are scheduled on the grass at a mile and 16th.
Full field of 10, the 11, 12, 13. They are on the also eligible list. 4, 9, 5 are my selections. Number 4 is Academic Probation. I have no idea what they mean there. Making the 3rd career start after scoring in the career debut at the September meet, going a mile on the turf at Churchill Downs. Took on winners at Keeneland in just a lost effort in the Jessamine Stakes, so comes back to an entry-level allowance after trying stakes, which is understandable for a 2-year-old. Not easy to find allowance races until this time of year, and it's an offspring of Einstein. For second, number 9, Rushlana goes out for Wesley Ward, making the 4th career start. First one around 2 turns. And I've said this often about City Zip, who's been a stallion, I have to think, for at least 9 or 10 crops, probably. He was a juvenile in 2000. Boy, he has been a middle distance turf pedigree, and that also goes along with Carson City, for me, his sire. For third, number 5, Abby's Promise, making the 2nd career start after winning the career debut at 27-1, and is 20-1 in the 2nd career start, the turf debut, a granddaughter of Giants Causeway. 4, 9, 5.
Finale at Churchill this afternoon is going to be race number 10, a maiden claimer, 12.5 to $15,000. These are 2-year-olds going 6 furlongs.
3, 8, 9, ladies and gentlemen. Number 3 is Tazdu, making the 7th career start, 2nd time in for a tag, half the tag price in here after running in Indiana bred maiden special weights. Came over to Churchill Downs, pressed the pace, ended up finishing 5th, beating a dozen lengths when running for $30,000 the first time. Comes back here this afternoon for 15. For second, number 8, Volmania, throwing out the career debut, followed that up after debuting at Ellis Park with a nice effort at Indiana Downs, and then another nice effort at Churchill Downs in September. Went back to Indiana Downs, caught mud, didn't run well at all. Gets back to Churchill, where we saw a good effort in good form late part of the summer. For third, number 9, Brahms Flyer, making the 2nd start, first one in for a tag after a nice 3rd place finish at better than 75-1 in the debut October 9th at Indiana Downs. So it's 3, 8, 9 in a wild and whirly 10th and final from Churchill.
That wraps up the Wednesday card at Churchill. When we come back, I'll take a look at Aqueduct, all of that right after this.
The future of online betting is here, and only at the all-new CapitalOTBBet.com. CapitalOTBBet.com delivers a state-of-the-art wagering experience found nowhere else in horse racing. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
Each morning on the OTB TV network, you get the very best in horse racing programming. Weekdays begin with the Handicappers Report, where professional handicappers share their selections and analysis of the day's racing. Followed by Racing Across America, a daily conversation with racing personalities from around the country. Saturdays include Down the Stretch, where Mark Casano speaks with the biggest names in racing. And Sunday mornings, it's Loose on the Lead, where Steve Bick and I offer news and a unique lineup of weekly guests. All here on the OTB TV network.
Using CapitalOTBBet.com is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Simply log on with your username and password from the homepage. 2. Fund your Capital OTB account through our Easy Money, Green Dot, or Visa MasterCard options. And 3. Place your bet on one of our 3 easy-to-navigate wagering platforms, Capital Bet TV, Capital Bet Express, or Capital Bet Pro. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
Listen to what people are saying about the Clubhouse Racebook.
I've been coming here for well over 30 years to the OTB, and I think this is an outstanding facility. Probably comparable to something you'd see in Vegas. They have the big screens there, and then they have the auxiliary screens for, watching all the tracks. And the primary tracks of the day, they'll switch to the big screens, which is ideal for most of us race guys. We like to see the big races on the big screen. Well done.
This is Steve Beck. Join me Tuesday through Saturday here on OTB TV for At the Races, my Sirius XM daily news magazine of the thoroughbred industry. Handicapping, interviews, analysis, everything you could want. 6 a.m. OTB TV.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Handicappers Report. Alongside Seth Merrill, I'm Anthony Mormino. The Big A on tap, kicking off the full week of racing action. In the opener, we have 2-year-old fillies. Open company, maiden special weights, dashing 5 furlongs.
I banked with 4 first-time starters in here. Actually, I have 3 first-time starters and a second-time starter, but there's breeding that is interesting with all the first-time starters, and that's what I'm hanging my hat on here. 8, 10, 9, and 3. Talahina Sky, the number 8 horse, by Malibu Moon. I like Malibu Moon first time out of the box. But as with the other selections I have, there's nature and nurture. It's Christophe Clement, who has been doing so well with his first-time starters over the past few months or last year or so. But a nice steady string of workouts. Again, Malibu Moon on top, Christophe Clement, 8-1 on the morning line. We'll take a shot with Talahina Sky. Second spot, another first-time starter, another trainer that does very well, and another Malibu Moon runner. So Kieran McLaughlin, first time out of the box, does well. Malibu Moon again, I like that as a sire of precocious runners. Worldly Charm, again, the nature and nurture that I find very interesting, also with some nice works underneath. And then I will go with the horse with a little bit of experience. Birds of a Feather, the number 9 horse, gets in the 3rd spot for me. Career debut looked like a decent one to build off of. That was at the end of September down in Monmouth. Again, I think this horse should come out of that with some education and experience to benefit from, and trainer Jason Service's horses do very well with that kind of experience in their second career starts. So in the opener at Aqueduct today, 8, 10, 9, and 3.
Second half of the early daily double, strikingly similar, but Colts and Geldings can run. It is 2-year-olds, open company, maiden special weights, also racing 5.5.
5, 6, 2, and 4. The number 5 is Trailblaze, and Trailblaze is just another one that I think has the correct combination of nature and nurture. I love Indian Charlie on top, and Todd Pletcher as the trainer, Stone Street as the owners. You have connections that certainly like to win sooner rather than later, and breeding that says this horse should get it done. 3-1 on the morning line with the Pletcher name in there. I'm not sure we're going to get that Joel Rosario on board. I will certainly be happy to take that. And perhaps with Endowment Manager having some experience, other than the last race, I think the first 2 starts are going to attract some attention for Endowment Manager. But I'm willing to take the first-time starter from Pletcher and maybe get a little bit of a price. But I think that 3-1 is going to float down. Cashmere Cat in the 2nd spot. Dale Romans, again, the nature and nurture I like to see. Dale Romans does very well with first-time starters. Discreet Cat is a sire. very good with precocious runners. So Cashmere Cat gets in my mix. And then Father John's Pride, the number 2 horse, also in the mix for me. Again, the correct mixture of nature and nurture. Grand Slam, Eddie Keneally, some bullet workouts showing there underneath, says this horse should be primed to run well today. I'm going to do a little 4-horse exacta box in here. This is one of those races where I say you may have to look at the board, because I think Trailblazer is going to float down, which may suck some of the value out of this. So look up at the board, see what the probable pays are floating around at. But with 5-1 on Cashmere Cat, 6-1 on Father John's Pride, I think both of those are eligible to be right up in the mix. If we can hold those prices, this may offer enough value to make it worth dipping 4 deep in here. But I'll go 5, 6, 2, and 4.
And I like to tease around the country, Seth, when sometimes the name of the stakes race and the conditions under which they're run, such as the Sword Dancer at 12 furlongs, I don't think he ever ran on the turf. But the Pearl City, Naira, I think, got this right, because if memory serves me right, she's one of the rarities, which is a 3-year-old that has won the Ballerina Stakes at Saratoga. So this afternoon, 3-year-old fillies, the Pearl City, going 6.
And they put up $100,000. And they managed to get 5 horses, so that's a little bit disappointing.
But anomalies of the game.
Yeah, and what are the conditions of this restricted stake?
Non-winners of sweepstakes, if I remember correctly.
So essentially, anybody can get it.
But I'll say this, and I know I beat the drums, and I know it goes back a long time ago, and it really, Seth makes a great point. And I try and give a little leeway. We're light somewhere between 50 and 75,000. Now, when you're just talking 3-year-olds, we're basically light 20,000. You're talking fillies, so we're light 10,000 horses in the population. But Seth is right. When I made a quick cursory look at the conditions, which means I read the first 2 lines, and I thought it read non-winners of a graded sweepstakes. Which, Seth, if I remember correctly, that was really the condition of overnight stakes races in the beginning. It was basically, that was what you ever saw. Non-winners of graded sweepstakes.
This is not even limited to graded sweepstakes.
What's it?
It's a sweepstakes.
Wow.
So, and I'm wondering if Connections were anticipating the entry of Uno Duo, who I have on top at 3 to 5, only because I couldn't find anybody else. But I don't think I know Uno Duo is not invulnerable, because last time out was in a similar restricted stake and ran 4th at even money.
When we go to break, I'm going to look up, see how many nominations there were for this race.
That would be interesting. Yeah. But
I'm going to guess they weren't overflowed if only 5 showed up, but please.
But again, I think Uno Duo has a buyer edge, but ran 4th in a fairly similar event last time. So I put the horse on top, but Uno Duo is not invincible by any means, but I'll put that one on top. Second spot, the number 5, Mischief. Nice allowance win, a couple of starts back up at Saratoga, and that to me indicates there's some potential here for this Steve Asmussen trainee. We'll see if this one can get up there in the hunt today. And then Indian Splendor in the 3rd spot. This horse has some nice early speed that could make Indian Splendor, kind of dangerous, but has been off for a couple of months, since early in September. So the layoff may just have taken a little of the edge off. We'll find out. There's only 1 workout showing underneath, and it's nothing that too spectacular. So again, maybe there's a little bit of a fitness question mark, but the trainer does okay with layoffs like this. So we'll put Indian Splendor in the mix. 3rd at Aqueduct today, the Pearl City, little $100,000 restricted stake, 2, 7, 4, and 3.
Up next, we're going to have a New York bred daily double coming up, and up first is 3-year-olds and up, maiden special weights on the turf, racing a mile of 16.
And I have this one 6, 3, 9, and 1. The number 6 is Bottle of Red or White. This is a Todd Pletcher trainee that certainly improved with the move to turf. And I should say, I pulled up the Aqueduct changes a moment ago, and let me just see if I can get those up again and pull them right off the page. They are listing the weather conditions now as sunny, track fast, turf good, and the latest update, which came in at 7:30 this morning, race number 9 is off the turf today. So race number 9 at Aqueduct off the turf. That means the 4th still scheduled for the grass. And again, Bottle of Red or White on top for me. moved up nicely. Nice improvement, second career start with the move to turf. So I think this horse is primed to run well today. Another start on the turf, the stretch out. I expect Bottle of Red or White to run well. Chang's Secret in the second spot. Looks capable on the numbers, but the trainer's on an 0 for 2013. That certainly does not inspire confidence. But again, on the numbers, okay, ran a good second place finish last time. I'm a little dicey because the trainer, as I say, a little bit cold, not only currently, but in all of 2013. Third spot, the number 9, Polaris Dream. This is another trainer that's kind of light on the win end. Does have 3 wins so far in 2013. But this is another one that has some back numbers that I think are good enough. Now, last time out, threw in a dud. But that was the first off a little bit of a layoff, and also moves from an apprentice to Chucky Lopez today, so that should be a bonus. I think Polaris Dream at a little bit of a price could be kind of interesting in this race. In the fourth, 6, 3, 9, and 1.
And my suspicions, I think, were played out. Only 10 nominations for the race. On to the fifth race with New York State Breds once again. 3-year-olds and up. Maiden Claim is in for 35 on the dirt, racing 6.
2, 7, 3, and 1. The number 2 is Awesome Heart. I'm going to take a little shot in here. I looked at this field and I thought you could make cases for and against a few of them. So I wound up tilting in this direction, 8-1 on the morning line. And this is a horse that moves maiden special weight to maiden claiming. And the trainer, Alan Iwinski, with a limited sample, does pretty well there. And does it obviously as a price when you look at the Daily Racing Form stat ROI showing there. So I think this horse, as I say, 8-1 on the morning line, I think that price will hold up. The class move, I think, could be really interesting here, again, on the trainer angle. And I think the cutback and trip is interesting as well. This horse was kind of up in the hunt early in a mile race last time before fading. Cuts back to 6 furlongs today. So there's just a couple angles that are work for me that say Awesome Heart could prove interesting in race number 5 today. Second spot, we'll go with Horatio. 6-5 on the morning line goes out for Steve Asmussen. Okay, 6-5 on the morning line, and I can kind of see where they're going with that, particularly off the last race. That was back in July, however, so we got a layoff. We are getting some class relief, but it's another horse that, okay, I see it, but I don't think this horse is invincible, and as opposed to the race earlier where I thought the horse was not invincible, and I just couldn't find anywhere else to go. This race, I think, as I say, my top horse, Awesome Heart, is worth taking maybe a little bit of a shot against the 6-5 morning line favorite. So I have a ratio right underneath in the mix. And then the number 3, Private Irving A. Showed some nice speed last time. That was off a layoff. That could indicate that this horse maybe needed that one and could move forward. Good foundation for the second start off of the summertime layoff. Private Irving A. also in the hunt for me. Fifth today, 2, 7, 3, and 1.
We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, second half of today's action from Aqueduct.
I'm Steve Beck.
And I'm Seth Merrill.
Together, we're loose on the lead on Capital OTB, Sundays at 10 a.m. Why should they watch, Seth?
Sit down on Sunday, have a bagel, get some great racing conversation.
Cream cheese only, no jelly. Sundays, 10 a.m., loose on the lead, Capital OTB.
The Capital OTB Handicapping Challenge Series is back. That's right, the 2013 Capital OTB Handicapping Challenge Series is back, and it's your chance to win thousands in cash and prizes, and a seat at the 2014 National Handicapping Championship in Las Vegas. This month, the Capital Cup on December 7th. So sign up today online at capitalotb.com or stop in at the Clubhouse Racebook. And don't forget our Showviver series, Capital OTB's online handicapping contest.
The future of online betting is here, and only at the all-new CapitalOTBBet.com. With a newly designed and engineered internet wagering platform, enhanced video streaming, additional funding options, and 3 new individual wagering opportunities, CapitalOTBBet.com delivers a state-of-the-art wagering experience found nowhere else in horse racing. Combine that with our all-new mobile website. You have 2 of the most powerful, innovative, and advanced wagering platforms available today. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
Hey, race fans, head down to the all-new Clubhouse Racebook and get in the game. With live horse racing on more than 250 flat-screen TVs, state-of-the-art wagering terminals, fantastic food and drinks, an amazing Vegas-style atmosphere with seating for nearly 900 of your closest friends. Conveniently located at 711 Central Avenue, right off exit 5 of I-90 in Albany, the Clubhouse Racebook is the better choice.
I'm Mark Cassano. Join me Saturday mornings at 10 for Down the Stretch. We'll inform, analyze, and welcome in the biggest names in racing. So join me Saturday mornings at 10 for Down the Stretch, right here on the OTB Television Network.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Alongside Seth Merrill, I'm Anthony Mormino. Up to race number 6 at the Big A this afternoon. We have 3-year-olds and up. Claimers in for $12,500. Non-winners of 2 races in a lifetime, or 3-year-olds going a mile on the turf.
1, 8, 4, and 2. The number 1 is Hard Rocker, and it's a combination of a couple of things in here that I find interesting. Class drop, the return to turf. Decent third last time. That was in an off-the-turfer, but I think the numbers just prior to that on grass were better and will be a better fit with this particular bunch. So again, it is the class drop and the return to grass that I think make Hard Rocker very interesting. That 4-1 I think is generous as well, so we'll hop on that. But this is one where I'm not going to be surprised if that holds up a little bit. Given that last race, the number fired there, and the size of the field, I think we might get that 4-1. Second spot, the number 8, Cashier Ticket. This is a owner angle. I don't go on the owner angle very often, but if I'm down in Kentucky or up at Saratoga, certainly you'll hear me talk about Ken Ramsey every once in a while. But similarly, I think Midwest Thoroughbreds play the claiming game very, very well, as evidenced by their numbers. And this one drops down the claiming ladder. This is another one returning to turf, which I think is the preferred surface. And I'm looking for a rebound here, again, with Midwest Thoroughbreds probably spotting this horse in more of a winning level. Third spot, the number 4. Yes, it's Showtime. Pretty solid when moved to the turf last time. Earlier in the career, had tried a turf race up at Woodbine. That was back in May. Didn't show much there, but that was very early in the career. It seems like off a late summer layoff, this horse has perhaps come back with a little added maturity, found the class level that it fits at, goes out for George Weaver today, and I think, yes, it's Showtime is going to be another one that will be an absolute fit in here. I'm going to do another 4-horse exacta-box play of the day in here, because I think, as I say, the field size and whatnot, I think my odds will hold up in this particular race. So I'm going to box up these 4, 1, 8, 4, and 2.
Speaking of Ken Ramsey on Racing Across America, have you had discussions about the voided claim?
No, I brought in the news story and I didn't get to it yesterday. A very interesting story, and what was interesting to me was, why is he making such a push and a big deal about this? And at the end of the story, it said he wanted the horse as a broodmare, which I thought was very interesting. He went out and claimed the horse, and then he admits, maybe I was trying for the title a little too much, dropped the horse in and let it float a little bit.
Yeah, but when I read it, he was comfortable with the way the claiming game is tagged. The part that he was uncomfortable with, and I think he proved it, was there was, just to let you know, a quick story, you know, it was, I think, a $15,000 animal. And you know one thing, I would never race that horse again, and I would bring that mare to Kitten's Joy is what I would do. But Ken Ramsey, the claim ticket wasn't filled out properly, and that's one of the few things I've ever understood about the claiming game, and apparently I don't understand it. The ticket has to be exactly right. Any misinformation, and it voids it. And it wasn't right. Apparently, then the dark days came. So Ken Ramsey went in. He found out that the administration said that it's the calendar, it's not the racing calendar, blah, 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 blah. And to prove his point that I thought was the most point was, he then entered a claiming slip with the same exact information not on it, and as he expected, the claim was voided. But he also said he didn't want to spend another $10,000 to $15,000 more chasing it. But he did make the point where he's gone out, and that is what I have said is really part of even how underreported the Kitten's Joy story is. The even under is all these mares that he went out at rock bottom prices to just send to Kitten's Joy. I teased him, and he signed me up for the book deal already, so maybe I should stop teasing about it.
But it was also interesting. It turned out to be a pretty nice horse.
Yeah.
I mean, subsequently, after it got claimed away from Ken Ramsey, the horse is now was shipped out to California and has some kind of 10 starts and 7 of them in the money. So he was pretty clever with that. And I have mixed feelings about the situation. To me, you got to keep up with the rules. But it was a technicality that it wasn't. But then he followed up, and they turned his
And the
down.
part that I didn't like about the ruling is I do agree with him. It's sort of like Sunday as a day of business. If the racing office
absolutely.
isn't
That was
open,
very
that
strange.
should
He
not-
had a
that
certain
should
amount of
not
time
count.
to appeal,
And they were
his
closed Monday,
argument was
Tuesday.
they're closed.
I came on Wednesday that he was there. On to the 7 3-year-olds and up. Open company in for 35 claimers, racing 6.5.
2, 9, 7, and 6. The number 2 is Majestic Number. Goes out for David Jacobson and drawing away. I said a moment ago, Midwest Thoroughbreds play the claiming game at the top level, as do David Jacobson and drawing away. First off the claim for a very crafty claiming connection team. So I put Majestic Number on top. Second spot, we'll go out to the number 9, We Freudian. Goes back into the Linda Rice barn. And if you go back to when Linda Rice had this horse earlier, this horse was running some numbers that are going to absolutely be competitive with this bunch. So I think the return to Linda Rice might prove fruitful for We Freudian. Third spot, the number 7, B Wild Card, might benefit from the layoff. Has been off since late July at Monmouth. Prior to that was down at Churchill Downs. Now comes in for Bruce Levine and Rapoli Racing, and was claimed out of the Churchill race. They started, made the first start off the claim at Monmouth. Again, that was late July. We had 5th that day. I just think this is one that maybe needed a little time off, and as I say, with the layoff, might benefit from that and run better today to wild card in my mix. 7th at Aqueduct, 2, 9, 7, and 6.
Reminds me of with the racing office being closed, like you get a gift you want to return. All returns are done on Sundays and the store is closed on Sundays. Good luck getting that done. On to the 8 3-year-olds and up. Fillies and Mares Open Company. Claimers in for $35,000. The capital B non-winners at 3, or the 3-year-olds racing 6.5.
5, 6, 2, and 3. The number 5 is Natalie Victoria and Master of the Obvious here. 6 to 5 on the morning line, and I just think this horse has an absolute pace advantage on this field. I think she's going to put the gas pedal to the floor coming out of the gate and just be tough to reel in for the aforementioned Bruce Levine and Rapoli. So I think Natalie Victoria legitimately a morning line favorite in here. Number 6, Revenue in the second spot. I wasn't quite sure what to do with this horse. On the class and numbers and whatnot, I think this is an absolute fit with this bunch. But the class and the numbers we've seen most recently have been on the turf. This is a dirt race today, so the surface is a little bit of a question mark. Again, I'm just looking at the class and the numbers being enough to maybe overcome the surface switch. We'll trust Dominic Galuccio to be making the right move here, but it is a little bit of a question mark today. And then the number 2, Caitlin's Cat. 10 to 1 on the morning line. This may be one that could be kind of interesting. The numbers are improving over the last 3 starts. Had a win 2 starts back. That was up at Saratoga. Since then, the better part of a month and a half off before the comeback, 9th of October at Belmont. That was an optional starter allowance at the 50 level. So some class relief today. Numbers moving in the right direction. 10 to 1 on the morning line. As I say, Caitlin's Cat may add a little bit of value to some of the plays in here if you're going to play around vertically. So in the 8th race, 5, 6, 2, and 1.
And Seth, you mentioned the 9th race is off the turf. Yes, today the finale is off the turf. It is 3-year-olds and up. Open company. Maiden claimers in for 16. Now racing the dirt 1-turn mile. And
when I found that out, I switched up my selections a little bit, juggled them up just a little bit. I had on the grass, I went out to the AEs, 12, 15, 2, 5. And as I said, pretty much kept the same horses. I've just juggled them up a little bit for this move to dirt. 5, 12, and 2 for me in the finale. And I think the 5, on the other hand, might be a little bit interesting, coming in from Finger Lakes for Chris Engelhardt. Interesting because this horse has had a couple of starts on the dirt and done okay up at Finger Lakes. So that was in maiden special weight company. Now comes into New York with a 16,000 maiden claiming tag. By any given Saturday, I think there's some breeding here that says this horse should be able to win sooner rather than later. So the surface switch may benefit, on the other hand. I'll take a little bit of a swing with that one. 12 to 1 on the morning line. That, of course, may switch up a little bit with the move to dirt, although I don't think it'll drop significantly. Second spot, we will go out to the number 12, second on the AE list. But this is a horse that has some nice early speed. You look back in the past performances, has experience on dirt, not superior, but the last time this horse was seen on dirt was in an off-the-turf race in February at Tampa. Showed some okay speed there before fading late. I think this horse might be interesting. At first, if it if he gets in from the AE list, and second, if he's able to continue to show that speed with the move from turf to dirt. And then in the third spot, we'll go with Doc Seabu. It's just a Pletcher runner. Again, I think this horse is probably more turf meant, but I'll trust the connections. If they decide to keep this one in, maybe the class will be enough to overcome the surface switch. So again, 9th race today, according to the NYRA website, off the turf, and on the dirt, I have it 5, 12, and 2.
And that wraps up our look at the Big A this afternoon on Capital Off-Track Betting. Our week gets racing week with the big tracks up. Kicks off with Finger Lakes at 12:15, followed by the Big A, Laurel at 12:35, Churchill Downs, Turf Paradise, Hawthorne Park joined in progress. Now, Seth, wasn't the Illinois people they met yesterday?
Yeah, it looks like Illinois is going to shake out. The racing connections came together and came up with a unified front. That's what the legislature was asking for. The problem is the legislature is only scheduled to meet one more
They'll
time.
get it done then.
So,
If the legislature got what they wanted.
I would assume. It seems like it's going to happen.
It'll now be Penn National, Northfield, Pocono, Saratoga, Racine, Australia, A and B. And one thing I would say is, as you know, it obviously makes us worried. Illinois racing is a big part on the national landscape, not only for the local guys, but in the nation. And when I saw, there was originally 4 answers to the question. And then when I saw there was down to 2, as much as inefficiency in government bothered me as they were handling this in Illinois, the two were so dramatically different. And the one was so pointless and would have been, I think, politically untenable. I really stopped worrying, to be honest with you, about in September when they narrowed the 2 other out, which were sort of like in between. I was like, you can't have 14 days of racing
and I
at
invited
Hawthorne.
Mike Riopel on, who's a columnist, State House columnist on Racing Across America earlier in the week, and he said, actually, they could have pushed back this. The deadline was January 31st. He said if they had to, they could have pushed it back. And it seemed like, it was a skeleton schedule or what we had this year, and those were the options. And it seemed like, it just didn't seem like they would let it.
The skeleton one was so awful.
Some tracks had no dates.
Yeah, it was like, it's almost like you go to arbitration and the one, you're Clayton Kershaw, and the Dodgers say we want to pay him $400,000. Well, whatever the other side puts down, they're getting, because $400,000 is not going to work. And so it seems like now Illinois has gotten it together. They said even if they meet for one day, it's going to be on the docket. They're going to sign it. They're going to move on. And if I remember correctly, the reasonable side looks strikingly similar to 2013. Right?
Yeah, it was pretty much the same calendar that we have this year.
Dates. The only thing I saw with the one that looks like it's going to pass was Hawthorne was looking to grab a few on the front side, wanted to get to the Kentucky Derby weekend, and they wanted to start a little earlier. That was the one thing I thought, and on the calendar going forward for 2014, if it was going to be different, Hawthorne wanted a few more attractive days.
The battle wasn't over the dates.
No.
The battle was over ADW percentages and whatnot, which in turn funded the racing board. And so if the racing board doesn't have funding, there's no government agency to oversee racing.
Right.
That was what was.
And the government said they weren't going to kick in the money.
Exactly.
They said that the money wasn't going to exist. Also, ladies and gentlemen, if you missed any of our selections, you go to capitalotb.com, click on the Handicappers Report, the Today version for all of Seth and my selections at the Big A and at Churchill Downs. Also want to thank the good people at Russo's over in Amsterdam getting on board our latest Easy Bet location. Apparently an outstanding hot meatball sub there. And on Saturday afternoon out there on November 23rd, Capital Off-Track Betting will be having giveaway and vouchers welcoming Russo's on board the Easy Bet location. CapitalOTBBet.com, ladies and gentlemen, our brand spanking new wagering site. Simplest way to play the game. State-of-the-art, as you see in the plug right there, an improvement off the previous. If you have any questions, you have the number there. And Seth, they all must have figured it out, because I'm not getting any sheets for the questions at viewer mail at capitalotb.com. So they all figured it out. That's the way we like it. It's like when we do the seminars. Any questions? No, I guess we did a good job then. Up next, Racing Across America.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off-Track Betting.